Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow. All different social media platforms, whatever you have to do. Continue to do it to continue to spread the word. We are building this brand. We're building this show. We're building everything over here at DSM Media. We can only do it with your help. So make sure you do it. Make sure you tune out the other networks. You turn us on. If you're driving in your car, you can put us into the YouTube or Google or Apple CarPlay in your car. You can listen to us. I know I listen to the shows. I was listening to Dylan at the pizza shop on the TV. It was great yesterday for the Faithful Fanatics or the pregame show, whatever you're doing there. There's lots to do, so just continue to help us spread the word and grow this network. We got lots to talk about this morning. We are going to talk about Roger Goodell and the Deshaun Watson situation, the Dolphins situations. I'm kind of curious to get everybody's thoughts on it. We really haven't covered those topics, and the show is called Trending in the AM. So I really feel like we should tackle these non-local topics a little bit. We also will talk about the Phillies, their big win yesterday. And I do want to touch briefly, if we have time, on bringing back that Dan Sileo not practicing hard enough topic, because we're seeing more and more big names get hurt in camps around the league. And so far, last year we were pretty healthy. This year so far, knock on wood, the Eagles have been pretty healthy. So we're going to tackle all that today, guys. Good morning, Dylan. Good morning, Cole. How you doing today?
What's going on, Phil? We're good this morning.
Yeah. You guys happy? You guys in a good mood today? I mean, before the show, we were talking about bad roommates in college and all that kind of drama and fighting in college and all. That was quite an interesting conversation.
We live vicariously through Cole still.
Yeah, we do. Well, I live vicariously through you all because I'm old as hell. You reminded me how long ago me being in high school was, Dylan. Right,
middle school. You mentioned. He said how long you were in middle school.
Geez, middle school. I didn't even go to middle school because I went to Catholic school. So you just go to elementary school. Yeah, you go kindergarten through 8th grade in the same school. So it's a little different for me. All right, guys. I want to talk Roger Goodell. I want to talk the NFL. I want to talk Deshaun Watson and the Dolphins. It's interesting to me because, first off, we're going to start with the Deshaun Watson situation here. You know, he gets a 6-game suspension from the judge that's hired independently to arbitrate this thing. They must have known this was going to happen, Deshaun Watson's camp, because they put out a statement beforehand saying we were going to abide by whatever ruling. We weren't going to appeal. You kind of knew that they had a feeling they understood it. Roger Goodell, yesterday, news broke. I was watching the training camp stuff on NFL Network. They're talking in Pittsburgh yesterday. This news comes down. And, yeah, I know, George, sigh. It's a tough conversation, but we got to discuss it a little bit. That Roger Goodell in the NFL is appealing the suspension. And what's really weird about it, Roger Goodell can appoint whoever he wants to hear the appeal, or he could just hear it himself. And, you know, it's a tough situation. Like, where should they go in this route? They already hired an independent judge. They agreed on a judge. And I don't agree with the 6-game suspension. But is this, you know, just showing too much power for Roger Goodell being like, all right, we agree to this person. Oh, we don't like him. We're going to go another route. Or should he have just left it in his and his office's hands right from the get-go? Dylan?
Well, if he doesn't like the outcome, then yes, he should have just had it in office from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Like you can't handpick one person. They give their ruling, whether it's fair or foul, and then you go, you know what? No, we don't like that, and you're going to appeal it, which they should, because it's clearly not a strict enough punishment for Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely not.
But like you said, it should have just been handled internally then, if that was possible. Like, don't take the risk of someone only handing down 6 games to him and then be like, no, hold on, let's try someone else.
Because if you think about it, you know, all these other things, we're going to get into the Dolphins situation here in a few minutes. They handled that internally. They did the investigation themselves. Right. They made the decision on the suspensions and the fines and all that. But yet, you know, this Deshaun Watson situation, they outsourced it to an extent. And now they want to re-outsource it or do it themselves. You know, right. There is no doubt in my mind, and I got into an argument. I try to stay out of the political stuff and this kind of conversation on Twitter, because that's when the bots and the trolls get involved. And there's a guy that I follow golf-wise, and he follows me. We always interact on the golf side of things. And he was like, you know what? It was too much of a suspension. And he went this whole thing about innocence. Deshaun Watson.
No, innocent until proven guilty.
Deshaun Watson's a bad man, and he's done some bad things. He deserves to be suspended.
Innocent until proven guilty works when you're facing a court trial and you might go to prison. So if you want to sit there and say that there's not enough evidence to convict him, that is completely fine. First of all, they never found him innocent. They said there's not enough evidence to convict him.
No. Actually, they used a different term. They said there's enough circumstantial evidence. There's just not enough hard evidence. So if you watch enough Law and Order,
in the court of law,
circumstantial evidence still it's kind of like goes back to the whole OJ thing. There was circumstantial evidence. He obviously did what he did. Exactly. But in the court of law, there was fear that convincing 12 jurors, that he committed crime.
And then I always hear, well, even on the civil suit, they settled. Why do you think they settled?
Yeah.
Right.
You really believe that 30 plus women all came together and said, let's ruin it? Like, no. It'd be one thing if it was like one or two and you wanted to sit there and nitpick that argument, that's fine. But to sit there and say 30 plus women are sitting there and lying and then hypocritically say innocent until proven guilty makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
So, listen, George, I want to get to George's comment here because it's something that I've been thinking about a little bit lately. And I got maybe a weird theory on it, but also something that it's still formulating in my mind. But KC is bringing up a point here. How determine suspensions on everything? It's a hodgepodge mess. Convinced they just, pull it out of a hat. Does the NFL need to sit down, Roger Goodell, get some outside influence people, some inside, some government, just grab a bunch of people, sit down in the offseason and hammer out every single possible thing that could come up, whether it's, Marquise Hollywood Brown got arrested yesterday on,
illegal speed,
but serious speeding.
That's a 6-game suspension. That's a
6-game suspension. Put that into the thing. Have the first crime for this.
There should be parameters exactly.
Every single thing. Do they need to just sit in an office and bang out a fresh set of here are the parameters? This is what's going to happen for this every single time. Your second offense. This is what's going to happen. I mean, you've got guys that have been suspended for a year plus for smoking weed.
Right.
But yet Deshaun Watson gets 6 games.
That's the whole problem. That's the whole problem. I had no problem with Calvin Ridley's suspension. You're not supposed to do it, so you do. Now,
it's also in the players' agreement that it was a full year.
Right. I was fine with that. Back then, when weed was illegal across the country and the NFL deemed it illegal and blah blah blah, I was fine with those suspensions. And then people like Josh Gordon just kept doing it and doing it. I was like, you idiot! What are you doing? You're ruining your career. The problem is it's not those suspensions. It's how those suspensions are up here for minuscule things. And then the major crime, like actual crime, sexual misconduct type of things, like this Deshaun Watson case gets this. That's the part that's unbalanced. You cannot have different levels of punishments and had the more severe crimes be the lesser punishments. And that's where they're so ass backwards.
Like, it should. I mean, it's simple. It should have been about a year. It should have been about a full season for Deshaun Watson. But
absolutely agree. But so here's the thing, Cole. I'm going to bring this up, and you're younger. You're more into the social media thing. George is talking about PR. George and KC are talking about it being a business. So social media has been around for a while, guys. And this is a formula. Late last night, I started thinking about it. I've been trying to formulate the right words to say here. Social media is different now than it was 10 years ago, obviously. 5 years ago, even, it's different. It's all about what's trending and the PR and stuff like that. So with the bigger deal that social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all that is, the NFL does not want to see their name trending because of Deshaun Watson.
The only trending they want to see
I disagree. I think the NFL already gets so much flack. Set the precedent. Set it now. Right.
What I'm saying is, but hold on, but that's what they're doing. So they had this ruling, and they only care about one thing: the image of the NFL, the shield. Right. They want to protect the shield. They agreed to this Sue Robinson, this judge's ruling to come for the ruling, and then they didn't like the way the ruling was because of the way the reaction was on social media.
No,
if this ruling would have happened 15 years ago, they may have abided by it because it was done.
Most likely,
and social media wasn't there. Now that they see the backlash that they're facing on social media because of it, now they want to backtrack because it's a PR issue now. So I agree
get
with
it.
what George and Casey are
Let me
saying.
ask this,
It's a business. They lose. They care about their YouTube replay clicks.
I 100% agree.
You know, they care about how many clicks and this and that. So does social media affect it now because of the PR backlash that can happen with social media? Cole, go ahead. What were you going to say there?
I was going to ask Dylan. Let me ask you something. If somebody had accusations like that in your business in DSM, how would you react?
Say that again.
If this was happening in your business, DSM, how would you react?
With Deshaun Watson?
Standpoint? Yeah, something similar. I'm just saying.
They wouldn't be a part of DSM anymore.
Yeah.
And I understand DSM is small. Right. I understand DSM is smaller, but there wouldn't be even if they went to the court and they were found not guilty, there would be nobody, whether they watch DSM every single day, that would sit there and give backlash for it.
Right. Now, I think the other way you can look at the social media part, Phil, is 15 years ago, you're right. They probably wouldn't have appealed it because they weren't hearing this backlash or at least seeing all of it on social media. I think they need to start using it as and they won't because they don't care. They only care about this. But they need to start using it as feedback because 15 years ago, you still had all the backlash, just not in a way that they could see or hear.
And they couldn't quantify the backlash.
Right. And so my whole point is, people view you guys in these situations as a piece of shit. Like this is wrong. Calvin Ridley getting a year and Deshaun Watson getting 6 games is wrong. Right.
See, the funny thing is, I actually agreed with the 1 year for Ridley.
That's fine. Me too.
So which means Deshaun Watson needed more.
He's more. Exactly. That was my point about being unbalanced. And I know it's a business. I know it's PR. And I know they're a league that protects their stars. But when it comes off as so tone deaf and so just asinine, they need to get ahead of it and set the precedent. Like, this is coming. If Deshaun Watson only gets 3 games, 6 games, hell, even 9 games, people were going to freak out.
If it wasn't a year, it was going to freak out.
I'll tell you.
I look at it to counter, because you guys like to make fun of me because I'm old, and maybe George might know because I just thought of this now and I haven't had time to research it. But before social media, period, when I was growing up and watching 6 ABC News and the way I got my information, I could watch the 6 o'clock news, and watch Gary Papa give sports. So this would have been at 6:15 when sports came on the 6 o'clock news. Gary Papa from ABC would have been talking about this. And that's it. I would have had to listen to 610 when WIP was still on the AM, maybe for 30 minutes on the way to school. And, maybe if I picked up the newspaper before my dad got it and took it to work for him. There was very little way. And then, the backlash would have been me and like 4 friends talking about it at school the next day. The NFL cares about the bad PR that they get on social media more than setting the precedent, which I think is the problem. That's why they're always reacting.
The precedent, you wouldn't get the bad PR.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They react instead of being proactive on these situations. And that's why I think these guys need to sit in a room. Look at Trevor Bauer, baseball pitcher. He got a 2-year suspension for, he actually, I think, physically abused somebody, physically hit a woman, but he got a 2-year ban for this. 2 years. An all-star Cy Young candidate type pitcher, a 2-year ban for this.
I don't know enough about Trevor Bauer's situation.
I don't know a lot about it. I do know he got a 2-year ban for it.
Awful things. I've heard that there was also the difference of it was a one singular accusation, and I don't know what happened with the trial. There were 33. Who needs 7 masseuses in 17 months?
Dude, exactly. And listen, in a criminal way, there is nothing you could technically probably do to Deshaun Watson in a criminal way because he didn't I don't want to sound dumb here. From what I know, he didn't sexually assault anybody. It was sexual he paid for blood. He's a weirdo. He's a straight creep.
He's a creeper.
Yeah. Right.
I would not allow him around
he can't be thrown behind bars for being a creep. However, a year ago, I remember sitting here when only 3 accusations were out and people were pinning them to the cross on social media. And I was the one saying dude, what the hell ever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Well, that changes when there's 25 to 35 accusations and more proof comes out. And there's a video of freaking Mia Khalifa in a maid costume in his apartment. Yeah, he's clearly a weirdo. Yeah, Phil, I had to get that in there.
I forgot about that. Look, and George, I know what George is saying here, and that's the problem. The problem is that the reactive to this situation instead of proactive, because the social media backlash, the fact that there's more people talking about it on a minute by minute basis is forcing them to be reactive because it's bad for business. If they preset the precedent, and have a list of rules and punishments, they wouldn't have to be so reactive. And it would. You set the precedent, then you don't have to worry about this kind of thing happening. Sorry, go ahead, Dylan. What were you going to say?
No, but my point is he's taking wrong he's talking about it from a business perspective. I'm saying it's wrong between the difference from right and wrong. It is wrong from a moral perspective, in any perspective, that a betting accusation, a betting thing or weed or whatever gets a higher punishment or more severe punishment than sexual misconduct accusations. That's what I mean by wrong. I get it's right technically to the standards the NFL holds as a business, but it's wrong in the sense that it shouldn't happen that way.
Yeah, and I actually agree with what George is saying here. We don't agree with the punishment, but it was the punishment. The NFL, by appealing it, is doing damage control. And and that's kind of a great way to phrase exactly what my whole point is here, is that because they haven't set precedents, if they don't like it, if the public doesn't like the punishment, they have to do damage control. If the NFL would come out before next season and be like, all right, if this is what somebody does, this is what their punishment, we all agree on all sides, then we don't have an argument or a leg to stand on an argument to disagree or agree. If everybody agrees that these are the preset punishments for these type of, mistakes that you make in your life, that's the thing. The being the reactive to it because the social media pressure is the problem. The backlash control.
And go to George's last comment. I disagree. Again, I'm sorry. If that was the case, then every single investigation and case that's been in the NFL needs to be outsourced. That's why I'm talking about imbalance. So he doesn't get paid to be a moral judge. Then how come some cases he holds his own investigation and he decides the punishment? That's the imbalance I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're absolutely right on that. Absolutely right. And again, he probably would abide by the suspension if it didn't create backlash. Backlash hurts the pockets. Now, we're talking billions of dollars coming in and you lose a few million, whatever, but the backlash does hurt the pockets of the owners. And that's why now he's trying to react to the thing and using George's terms, punishment on top of the punishment. I get all that. It's just there has to be a better set of legislative rules put in place, an outside committee brought in. Hey, hire 3 lawyers and judges to just every time there's a case, you are our panel. You set the precedent. You set the rules. The players and the owners have no choice whether it's a DUI, sexual misconduct, physical abuse, smoking weed, whatever it is. Yeah. You 6 people are in charge. You don't work for the league and the players pay you. You have to be impartial people, whatever it may be.
It's just funny, man. It shouldn't be this hard at all. It really shouldn't.
This is the perfect statement right here from Casey. Right. The process is screwed up altogether. It really is. It really truly is a screwed up process. So it just something has to be done about it. All right, so we have that process and that situation going on. And then you look at the Dolphins situation. So we talked about on this show months ago when it all happened, the Brian Flores situation, the being offered money to tank situation, and earlier this week, a huge fine/suspension came down on the Dolphins, but not for what we thought. It wasn't for the Brian Flores situation. Yeah. Which is crazy. When I saw Dolphins had their first-round pick stripped from them, their third-round pick in a few years stripped from them, all these fines, everything else. I'm like, this is the Brian Flores situation being resolved. No. It's for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. So I guess multiple times from 2019 to 2021, they tried to convince Tom Brady to come to Miami. They tried to get Sean Payton in 2021 to come to come to the Dolphins as the head coach. And they were, I mean, you look in the NBA, tampering happens all the time. The Sixers are under investigation. The Knicks are under investigation. They suspend a second-round pick, which in the NBA is pretty pointless. But in this thing with the Dolphins, they get 2 draft picks suspended, a first-round pick, which is a huge thing. Huge.
They still have
a first-round pick.
They still have a first-round pick.
They still have 1 first-round pick, and they lost it. And they don't have one.
No,
they don't have any.
They had 2 first-round picks.
Did they trade one of them for Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
I don't.
So they have no first-round picks now.
Yeah, no, they're
done. I don't even think they have one next year. So I think they have no first-round picks for the next 2 drafts.
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw too.
Yeah.
And the owner gets fined $1.5 million. The owner is suspended from being in the office for, till like October or something like that. But in the statement, I don't know if you read the stuff. It was the process started with the whole Flores situation, the investigation, and they said that they did find evidence that the owner made a comment about $100,000 per loss, but according to their investigation, it wasn't meant seriously. That Flores took it too seriously, and no one else in the organization. It didn't trickle to the players. No one took it seriously, and only Brian Flores believed it was a real thing. And then it was just us BSing before a show, making fun. I'll give you an extra $100,000 if you lose. Ha ha ha. Wink, wink. I got a little grapefruit in my eye. I got a wink, wink. This Dolphin situation, it just goes to show the owners control Roger Goodell to an extent. Ross, the owner of the Dolphins. I mean, what's $1.5 million to a guy that owns an NFL franchise? You know what I mean? No. The draft picks is a huge suspension or a huge, fine for tampering. And I'm okay with that 100%. But you're telling me that there's not some Roger Goodell works for the owners going on. All right. So we're not going to hold him too accountable on this, this paid to tamper kind of thing. Dylan.
This one's weird to me, dude.
This is so weird.
And this came out of the blue. Like, you're right. It wasn't about the Brian Flores thing. It ends up they were trying to bring Tom and Sean Payton to Miami when he was still in New England. I have no idea. What I will say is the fact that they did strip him of its next year first round pick, and it also took a future, I think it's the 2024 third round pick. Yeah. That is pretty.
Yeah. Considering how the NFL handles tampering, the NFL, it's a big difference right there.
Like you said, the NBA, you tamper with players, you tamper with this, and bringing players to, your city, you might lose like the 48th pick in the draft out of 50 or 60, however many picks are in the draft. You lose your first round pick after you just made the move for Tyreek Hill, like you said, giving up an abundance of first round picks. Yeah, like, dude, Tua, the pressure on Tua, if there's anything to take away from this, that's all there is. Like, it needs to work now, because if Tua's not the guy, I don't know what their future holds, because that offense is ready to go and they just need someone under center. Like, you think our team has pressure on the quarterback? No. Ask Miami about it.
Yeah, this is just setting George up to make a comment about not trading a second round pick for Jesse Bates, because if the Dolphins don't have those picks to move up to get their quarterback next year, we might lose one of them. So
go ahead. I did just look. The Dolphins still have a first round pick next year. It's from the 49ers.
Okay.
When the 49ers traded up for Trey Lance, so they still do have a first round pick next year. But to the main point, I mean, this has to be the most useless thing to get suspended forever. You tampered and you got nothing out of it. You didn't get Tom Brady. You didn't get Sean Payton. And now both Tua and Mike McDaniel feel blackballed by their team. Mike McDaniel, God bless him, didn't even get a chance to show what he's capable of, and he already feels like, damn, they didn't even want me.
Yo, I got to just say, Casey, I don't know if you guys are following the comments section. Casey and George care so little about this Dolphins conversation. They're talking about Daniel Jones.
I'm pretty sure
good quarterback this year.
This is just a joke.
I'm following this along right now.
This is just a joke because I know George is going to take it seriously because I'm talking about training camp. Pretty sure I saw a video on the second day of Giants camp of him fumbling a snap and like falling over his own 2 legs or something.
Look,
I'm not being
have,
serious. I'm
you know,
just
just
saying.
to address them.
Like,
What?
didn't he get hit like a fan or Kenny Galladay or somebody in the head?
He hit a fan. He was missing throws and hit a fan, dude.
Anyway, the Giants may be a better team this year, but it's not going to be because of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think the thing that's going to be holding them back is Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's probably correct there. All right. So real quick, you know, I mean, to wrap this Dolphins thing up, I mean, I lost my train of thought on that because we had to talk Daniel Jones for a minute to appease the listeners there. Look, it's just, you know, to go from the Deshaun Watson situation and how it's been handled, just passing time. Exactly. Well, do you want me to have another Jesse Bates conversation, George? You know, we can have another Jesse Bates.
I think the Eagles just need to do it. I think the Eagles just need to trade for Jesse Bates.
We can have this conversation again.
But see, George, this is why you're a loyal listener. Zero interest in the topic, and he's still in here, Phil. That's
you know what's funny. I do always have a little bit, and this is a little personal story here, a little love for the Dolphins. They were always, because my dad always taught me, you cheer for your hometown team. But when you move to another city, you got to support that team too. And my dad spent 3 years living in Miami. When he was in the Coast Guards, he was stationed in Miami. After he got out of the Coast Guards, he stayed in Miami for a little while. So he was a big Dolphins fan also. So the Dolphins have always been kind of my secondary team to an extent, just because he was always talking and watching the Dolphins and stuff like that. Yeah. So I do always keep an eye on the Dolphins just because, you know, in my mind, they were always my dad's, you know, second.
You love the 49ers too, don't you?
I hate the 49ers. Absolutely hate the 49ers. So, because my brother has a random love for them because, you know, he's a bandwagon jumper. No, we settled debates. We never settled debate.
No,
we agreed to disagree.
We can go back into it. They need to do it.
No.
I do want
that conversation took half hour.
Yeah, exactly. So with training camp going on, and we talked earlier this week about the Dan Sileo, him saying the Eagles aren't practicing hard enough and this and that. And, you know, there's the conversation they're not tackling all the way to the ground and stuff. You guys say it, Timothy Patrick, out for the year. We've seen now multiple people. Hey, Jordan Matthews trying to transition this tight end, out for the year. Injuries in camp. Doesn't that kind of, to an extent, an injury can happen even on a non-contact play, obviously. You know what I mean?
Right.
But wouldn't you rather take less chances in training camp?
Yes.
And not risk. I mean, you look at it. The Denver Broncos have gone all in. They trade all their picks for Russell Wilson. They got this great wide receiver core, and bam, one of their top wide receivers gone for the year. Just like that.
Their number 4 wide receiver down for the count.
I think Timothy Patrick's a little higher than number 4
probably
wide receiver.
3.
Yeah, he's probably the slot guy.
Well, no, KJ
out of who was?
KJ Hamler.
He would have been behind him.
He really didn't do anything to
Yeah,
Timothy Patrick was actually my favorite of the wide receivers in Denver. Because Jerry Jeudy, based off of his draft slot, hasn't really lived up to that yet. Hamler.
I mean, he did have Drew Lock throw to him.
Yeah, he did have Drew Lock.
I will say,
was fine.
But I'm fine with not practicing as hard in training camp because if AJ Brown goes down and he is out for the season, it's over. It's over. If say something would happen to like AJ Brown or Devontae Smith or something, everyone who was sitting there, practice harder is gonna feel like a real idiot.
Yeah, well, dude, it's as simple as Phil, like you said. When people counter the question with, "Well, they can get hurt in a game, they can get hurt in the regular season." Yes, you can't eliminate that. You can eliminate risk in practice, in training camp. So why not eliminate as much as that risk as you possibly can? No one said they're not. That doesn't mean they're not practicing hard just because they're not tackling all the way to the ground. Like I said, maybe week 1 someone meets DeAndre Swift in the second level and they get ran over a one time. Great. Okay. Maybe that's because they didn't tackle to the ground. That's not going to cost them the game. That's not going to make them start 2-4 on the freaking year because they didn't tackle to the ground in training camp. Stupid.
Yeah, I will say I want to address George's comment. I guarantee the Broncos.
I like it.
No, it's horrible.
It's not my pick.
They're not even going to finish second in the division.
They're not even going to make the playoffs.
You don't know that.
I do.
They're not even going to make the playoffs. I would say I don't even have them in the playoffs. I have the Broncos finishing 4th in that division.
I have them 3rd.
I have them 3rd.
Ahead of the Raiders.
When me and Scotty broke it down on Turf Talk, and it's 3rd, but there's no way you can seriously try to predict that division. It's too hard. The Chiefs could finish 1st still. The Chiefs could finish 3rd or 4th. There's no telling what's going to happen in that division.
There's no way the Chiefs finish 4th. No, the Chiefs will not finish 4th.
There's
no doubt about it.
Okay.
Chargers, if anything, the Chargers
go through and look at the rest of those teams.
Yeah, I do, and because I'm very where George and you guys are high on the Broncos. I'm as high on the Raiders. I got the Raiders.
I'm like that with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are the best team in that division.
I picked the Chargers to win, and I had the Broncos finishing 3rd. I never said I'm high on them. I said don't discount the prediction. I'm
still rolling with the Chiefs to win the division, but I think the Chargers are better.
I got Raiders, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, but you can flip flop the Chargers and the Broncos.
I don't think the Raiders.
I agree, Scotty. That's the difference. Now, I do trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes over anything in the NFL.
Hey, don't sleep on Juju
Smith-Schuster.
Juju Smith-Schuster taking over.
Oh, I don't. Valdez-Scantling's there too. He'll get there. Wow. False.
I don't.
KC.
I don't. Let me mute his mic till he comes back because that was a loud noise. Look,
KC.
Justin Herbert, I don't totally disagree with it. What has Justin Herbert done? You're muted, Kate. I muted you. Sorry, when you dropped your stuff, you made a lot of noise there, bro. You're unmuted. You can talk.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts, recompose myself. On what planet is Justin Herbert overrated?
Well, timeout. He said Joey B all day. That's fine. I have Joe Burrow ranked ahead of Herbert as well. Herbert's still 6th or 7th on my list at the moment in top 10.
Did you not watch that game against the Raiders last year? We all watched that game, right?
Sure.
Justin Herbert willed them back in the game.
Boss move. Keep him muted. Yeah, no one said that. No one said they did. Dude, I have him. Here's all right. Very off topic, Phil. Let's go through this real quick just to get through this KC comment. Mahomes 1.
Yeah.
Rodgers 2. Allen 3.
Yep.
Brady 4. No. Burrow 5. Herbert 6. Russ 7. Stafford 8. And then, like I said, we've had this conversation with you before, Cole. You can do anywhere you want from 9 to 11.
Ooh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have? Yeah, I know you have Matt Stafford outside the top 10.
No, I never said that. I have Mahomes 1, Rodgers 2, Allen 3. I'm getting Lamar. 4 Herbert, 5 Brady, 6 Burrow, 7 Lamar, 8 Stafford, 9 Wilson, 10 Prescott.
Like, can I just ask you an honest question? Like, I know I can see you're very high on Herbert. I told you I had him 6, so clearly I'm very high on him.
Yeah, no. I mean,
why do you have him ahead of Tom Brady?
Why do I have him ahead of Tom Brady? That's one I've always flip-flopped on, him and Tom Brady.
To me, there's 4. To me, it's Mahomes, Rodgers, Allen, Brady in whatever order. Brady's obviously down the bottom now with his age and all, but who the hell knows?
That's the main thing. The age and just I would say that I feel like Mahomes or Herbert definitely I like the way Mahomes.
I love Herbert, bro. I love
Herbert can make plays.
Tell him, George. Tell him. And he can't put him over Russell Wilson either.
Not 12, Scotty. What the fuck?
Oh, he's around there. He's around there, bud.
Mute your mic so you can drop it.
What is going on?
He's around there, bud.
We're talking ranking them, not fantasy or anything like that.
No, I'm not talking fantasy. I'm talking ranking them.
Yeah. Tell him, everybody. He's wrong.
No, he is.
Wrong.
He is.
It's the 3rd time in 2 weeks. We have set Cole off with
Scotty, tell him how he's not even better than Derek Carr. Tell him how Derek Carr is better than Lamar.
He is
Derek Carr is better.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Scotty, get in here.
He is not better. Derek Carr is not better than Lamar.
Yeah, so on the 13 sounds right. Yeah.
Did nobody watch Lamar Jackson when he played last year? Nobody watched him when he played last year. They were 8-3. He was a top 5 MVP candidate.
Congratulations. Not for his arm.
It doesn't matter. Okay,
I'm ranking quarterbacks, bro.
Improvising is part of being a quarterback. Being able to make plays outside the pocket is part of the quarterback.
Get to it coming.
No, I don't care.
Remember how you said remember when you said how there's 33 accusations they can't be wrong?
There's not 33.
Exactly.
He's not a
you're
glorified
linking it all together right there.
Well, there's not 33.
Yeah.
I can be that high. I can be that high on it. I can be
moving on.
Like people act like moving isn't a part of being a
We're just gonna change the name of the show to something about Cole Love and Lamar Jackson.
It should be a daily segment throughout the football season.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be how did Lamar do? And Cole pops in for 5 minutes to make his case.
Every Monday I'll be on. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday I'll be on during football season.
Yeah, and Cole
the show will get canceled faster than we can imagine.
Cole already admitted to myself and Phil backstage that he's going to gloat and then make excuses when he's wrong.
Absolutely.
Agree.
All right.
All right. Do we got anything else football wise,
Nah.
All right, let's talk fighting Phils here, guys. Let's talk about the fact that they had I don't like to brag, because I wasn't right and I said 3-0. It was 3-1.
Close.
Close doesn't count though in predictions, just so you know. Some people think close counts. I don't. It only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. They won 3-1. Zach Wheeler pitched a dominant game yesterday, other than one solo home run. Nick Castellanos. We talk about Jalen Hurts having to stack good practices. We said Nick Castellanos had to stack good games before we started to buy in. Huge home run yesterday. And let me tell you something. It wasn't just a huge home run. It was one of the best swings I've seen out of him, maybe since game 1 of the season, when he hit that home run against Oakland. David Robertson comes in the 9th, 1-2-3, no doubt about it, shuts the door, slams it shut. Damn, guys. That was as good of a game as we could have had coming out of the trade deadline.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's not just coming out of the trade deadline for me. It's how they responded again to another bad loss the night before, just literally 12 hours before they got brutalized by the Braves 13-1 in that bullpen game. You come out, like you said, you predicted Zach Wheeler 7 or 8 strong, runs.
I said 7 to 8 shutout innings. He went 7 with
essentially did that. He had made one mistake hanging a curveball. It got put on the moon. It was a very weird game. It felt like the Phillies weren't going to get anything going with the bats, and then all of a sudden you get into their bullpen after Charlie Morton dominates you, and bang, you get a walk, single, home run. And Phil, it's not just his swing, it's where he put it. Straightaway center, 420 feet. Yeah. Right on it. That tells you Nick Castellanos might be headed in the right direction. And he has been technically stacking games. He was 9 for 19 in Pittsburgh. He's hitting over 400 or whatever in the last week or two of the season. So it seems, knock on wood, that Nick Castellanos is starting to figure it out, and that's humongous. David Robertson, I love that they threw him yesterday. First game, I'm pretty sure he was in the dugout for the first couple innings, not even in the bullpen. They throw him, and the one thing I liked, I brought this up yesterday on Faithful, is again, it's 3 outs, so I don't want to put too much stock into it. But from what it looked like from the veteran, is when he makes a mistake, when he misses his spot, he misses down in the zone. Phil, he misses low out of the zone for a strike. Guess what that means? In the 9th inning, if that keeps up, nothing's getting crushed. Right, You're not going to miss up in the zone. You're not going to hang a curveball. He was spectacular. Back-to-back Ks, infield pop-up, game over. He split the series with the Braves. That's all we wanted.
It's interesting. I'm not a superstitious guy, guys, but obviously David Robertson had an awful time here in Philly the last time.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
He had his cup of coffee.
Yeah, he pitched 7 innings over $25 million or whatever. But the funny thing, Dylan, I don't know if you noticed this, he had his Cubs cleats. They couldn't get him.
Yeah, they couldn't get him the red one.
So he wore his blue Cubs cleats yesterday.
I kind of like it.
Does he need to stick to the Cubs cleats the entire season now?
Why not?
As a good luck omen. Why not?
Cole, why not? And it doesn't look bad with the red and blue. With the red and white.
I love blue. Blue's my favorite color. So
nobody hates the Cubs. Nobody wakes up in the morning.
Right? Yeah. It's not going to be like. Yeah. It's not going to be like get those off.
Yeah. It's not like he's playing Mets cleats.
It's not Mets blue.
If there's a C on it, he can just get a Sharpie.
No. You don't mess with them. You don't mess with them. You just leave them. Who cares? Cubs aren't going anywhere. Give the Cubs something.
Yeah. That'll be the only time they're in the postseason, right?
Yeah.
And
my uncle, he was at the game yesterday.
Okay.
And he said that the second that Castellanos hit the ball, that stadium went dead silent.
yeah.
It had to be amazing. Just overall,
that's
it
awesome.
was.
What, the whole 4 people that go to a Braves game?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't get to ask him yet, but I'm sure it's probably one of those games. I remember he said he went to a game. I went to a game in Nationals Park when he lived near DC, and Camden Yards. Actually, we went to both of them. Both times, more Phillies fans than Orioles or
absolutely.
Nationals fans.
That's awesome.
It's insane.
The Braves are one of the worst cities for sports.
Now,
the people just don't care.
Well,
about
especially at
sports
12:30 in the afternoon, it was horrible there.
Yeah, 12:30, blazing hot on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know how many people would show up.
All right, so I want to bring up something, and I was listening to Rob Thompson's post-game press conference, and he addressed the bullpen situation. Now with David Robertson here, Sir Anthony came in the 8th. Once he gave up a few base runners, got 2 outs. They bring in Alvarado. Then he brings in Robertson to close. He also said after the game, depending on how it would have played, Brad Hand could have started the 9th, depending on when batters came up. And he said there is going to be no set closer. It's going to be a matchup situation to an extent. Do we like that idea or not? Because I don't really like that. I really buy into the old school mentality that relievers need to know when they're going to be pitching so they can mentally get right in the game. They know when that bullpen phone rings, if it's the 6th inning, they know it's not them. I don't want to get back to the Sir Anthony Dominguez pitching in the 4th inning if he needs to because it's a high leverage situation, then the 7th, then the 9th, whatever. Do we like or not like it, Cole? Go ahead.
I'm sure that there's some sort of structure to it. I'm sure that, but I don't think he's going to have one specific closer. I don't mind it because nobody's really kind of earned that spot yet. I would say a close person that earned it would be Sir Anthony, but why'd you bring David Robertson in then? Right. David Robertson's mainly a closer, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I mean, most of his career, he's had 12 saves this year in like 20, 30-some appearances.
Okay, so he had a save in every single Cubs win.
Basically. He's not, most of his time he spent 8 years with the Yankees. He was never the closer there. He was always the setup guy because they had Mariano Rivera.
Okay.
David Robertson's that 8th inning, high leverage guy. And he can close. I'm not saying he can't close, but just say he's the closer then every single game. Yeah, what's up, Ref the District guys? Who is it? Is it Stoner, Trev? Who's there today? And you guys really got to be excited about that Washington Nationals lineup. You know, now that you guys got rid of Juan Bell and Juan Soto and Josh Bell.
Soto and Josh Bell, not Josh Soto and Juan Bell.
Dude, you guys know. Do I ever go a show without butchering somebody's name?
No,
for real.
Yeah, exactly. My man. I love you.
I agree. I don't think what is happening.
Oh no, that's not you don't know about this story?
No.
I was talking about Steve Nash. I accidentally called him Kevin Nash. Mid-show, Cole made up an image of Steve Nash's face over Kevin Nash's body.
I agree with Sir Anthony and Robertson. It really doesn't matter there who's the setup guy, who's the closer. The Brad Hand thing, Brad Hand should never be the closer unless, 3 lefties are coming up in the bottom of the 9th. That's the only situation in which Brad Hand should be coming into the game for the advantage.
I still want
right, but he's got a short leash with me. If Brad Hand comes in and he lets up a hard hit single right off the bat, actually, never mind. He has to go through the 3-pitch rule now. Yeah, exactly. So never mind.
Oh, that's right. You have to throw 3 pitches, right?
Yeah, 3 batters.
So
3 batters, really?
Would David Robertson be your closer, guys? And they brought up. I was watching post game at the pizza shop yesterday, and they brought up the thought process that the Phillies are scared to throw Sir Anthony Dominguez 2-3 games in a row because he's still young. He's coming off Tommy John, so that they want him to be the closer, but they don't want to burn him out because he's still technically, to an extent, recovering.
Right.
I don't hate that. Especially
so then keep David Robertson in the 9th inning and just make that statement. He is our 9th inning guy. I firmly believe in that.
I'm fine with that. And then Sir Anthony's your setup guy on 95% of the nights outside of the unless he pitches 3 straight days or whatever, and you got to give him a rest.
3 days yet. He's never pitched more than 2
in
a row.
They've done a very good job with that.
Yeah.
Girardi kind of set that trend, but Girardi took it to the extreme level where if he threw 1 pitch on Saturday, he wasn't pitching again until Wednesday.
Exactly.
So they've done a very good job of that, and I'm excited. Like the way Thompson even handled the bullpen. I know his comments worry you a little bit, Phil, but yesterday he just again pushed the right buttons. Like he brought what did he brought in Alvarado when Sir Anthony was struggling, and it was first and second or bases loaded, whatever it had been at that point in the eighth.
One pitch.
And all it took was one pitch, fastball up and in, infield pop up, inning over, and let's go get the save next inning. So he continues to push the right buttons. And like I said, the way they're able to respond to bad games, the way they're able to bounce back from adversity is really something nice right now.
Yeah, like, I brought it up at the trade deadline, the jolt of energy from trades and stuff like that.
And with Castellanos,
there seemed to be a different energy with the team yesterday. At least that was my opinion.
Did you see what Castellanos said?
No.
They asked him about the additions after, in the post-game interview, and he said essentially like, it's great. This team, ever since signing him and the offseason moves they made, have shown nothing other than that they're trying to win, and that's all you can ask for. So like you said, a move like those at a deadline can give the clubhouse some energy by saying, yo, we're trying to win now. These guys can help us. And clearly, I think, like we said the other day, I think everybody knew those were holes. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like they traded Reese and they replaced Reese and that could hurt the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. No one cared if they're done platooning Matt Vierling, to be honest with you. Like,
losing Jesus Familia does not affect anybody.
Right.
All right.
So
since my man Stoner is watching and checking in, he's from Rep the District. We got the Nationals starting a big 4-game series. And I say big because we need to, in my mind, we need another 4-game sweep. And it's really hard. We've already had 2 4-game sweeps this year. Yeah. And it's really hard to win a 4-game series. Or sweep a 4-game series. So 3 out of 4 is definitely 110% in my mind a necessity this weekend against the Nationals. A team that's basically packed up, folded it in. I heard they called up a boatload of their prospects. They're going young. They're going youth. They don't care about the season at all anymore. You got Noah Syndergaard, your new starting pitching acquisition, on the mound tonight, a veteran pitcher going up against a young, inexperienced team. Noah Syndergaard's got to come out and prove that he was worth trading for tonight. There's no grace period in this trade. He needs to come out tonight, pitch well in front of the hometown, or new home team, and dominate. Is there pressure on Noah tonight coming out in his first start, Dylan?
If he wasn't facing a little league team, I would say
I agree with Cole.
Yes, but
like
facing a little league team. So
I think he'll be fine. And again, Phil, we talked about this yesterday. I think he's excited to had the chance to compete for a playoff spot. Again, these guys came from teams, David Robertson coming from the Cubs, the other 2 coming from the Angels, teams that weren't going anywhere this year. Not just not going anywhere, but just highly uncompetitive. He gets to come pitch in August, September, potentially October in this city, which he seems to already kind of embraced on social media. I love it. But as far as pressure goes tonight, no, like Cole said, you are facing, a little league squad. So sorry, Stoner. Sorry,
but I will disagree. They don't need to go 7 out of 11 against.
I think 8. I think 8
and 11 at a minimum. Yeah. You don't want to go 7-4 against the
7-4. Just doesn't sound.
8-3 minimum. 9-2 would be great.
I think expecting like 10-1, 11-0 is absurd. But I think
8-1 game, because as much as I was joking, they're still a little league team.
They'll steal a game, but you especially forget this series. If they go 3-1, like when you get to the September series, that should be a sweep. Especially when you're still fighting for that 1.5 game
spot.
The
last series of the season.
Right.
It's our last series of the season. We better sweep them then, or we're not going to the playoffs.
Paolo Espino, that's the pitcher for the Nationals. Who? I don't know who this guy is.
Espino's been there. He might have given us a hard time last time around. I forget.
I'm looking up his stuff right now. I know in his last 4 outings, he's not gotten. He's got 1 5 and third outing and 3 games that he didn't get out into the 5th inning. So he's not pitching deep. He's not pitching deep into games. He's giving up runs. Somehow he's got a 3.78 ERA on the year and only a 1.25 WHIP. Let's see. He pitched against the Phillies on July 5th. He went 3 2/3.
Oh.
6 hits, 4 runs, 2 home runs.
He didn't give us a hard time.
Yeah, he did not give us a hard time at all. No. We won that game 11-0. He pitched against us on June 17th We won that
opposite of
game
a
in
hard
10
time.
innings, 8-7. He went 5 innings, only gave up 2 runs in that game. They're the only 2 times he's pitched against us this year. But we've beaten him both times that we pitched against them. So, yeah, exactly. So, that being said, I still think there is some pressure on Thor. Again, we went over Thor's game log yesterday, and he doesn't go deep into games often. We don't need him to go deep. But I want to see him to be able to get through 6 innings. I want to see him be that Joe Bland quality start every time out there. And it's the weirdest thing. A quality start's only 6 innings and 3 runs. That to me is that's what the quality start stat is. If we get a quality start out of him right from the get-go, I think that's a huge win for us. And
what
and
they
that'll
used
be
to do
another
back
big
in the day,
boost.
Phil. It used to have to be 6 innings was quality, and then what would it be? It'd be J.C. Romero, Ryan Matson, Brad Lidge, come in 6,
Game
7,
over.
8, shut
Game
the door
over.
on you.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
kind of what you're
and our
looking for
bullpen
here.
is now with David Robertson set up for that.
Set up to do that kind of thing. Yeah, 100%. It'll be interesting. And listen, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. I know we're saying let's sweep this series. Look what the Mets just did against them. The day they traded Soto and Bell, the day DeGrom comes back and makes his debut and dominates in 5 innings, they lose that game. And that's the Mets, who are a lot better than the Phillies standing-wise at the moment. So it's not a given that you're just going to sweep these teams. But when you're in the position the Phillies are, where you're only a game or so up in a wild card, you're chasing the second wild card, which seems to be a little out of reach now with the acquisitions the Padres made.
And the Padres won last night, their first game with all their new pieces.
Yeah, Tommy Pham hit a grand slam.
9-1 last night. They won. Damn.
Yeah,
it was going to score a lot of runs.
It was the Outcast acquisition that did a first pitch grand slam for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it wasn't Tommy Pham
last night? Did Soto play last night?
No, it was Drury.
Drury. Brandon Drury. Yeah. It was Tommy Pham.
I'm looking at the rotation and just throwing Noah Syndergaard. I'm not trying to put undue pressure on him, but I'm just looking at the way the rotation started. We got the Nationals, the Marlins, then a big 3-game series against the Mets. Now throwing Syndergaard in there, first off, the way they've rearranged the rotation now, because of Gibson being on the bereavement list and everything else that's going on. So we got Syndergaard, Gibson, Suarez, Nola going in the National Series. The way it now sets up, when we face next weekend the Mets, we got Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler going 1, 2, 3 in that series.
Wow.
And Dylan, you're the one that said just yesterday, Suarez is your number 3 pitcher on this team.
That's a big game for Ranger.
When we get to our next big series, you've got potentially the 3 best pitchers on your team going. The lineup, the rotation, it's all now set up. And the rotation looks so much better with Syndergaard's name instead of Bradley Falter or Nick Nelson or whoever in there. So it's crazy. Go ahead.
100%. And that's why this series is important for that reason. Don't look ahead of it, but it's important to carry momentum into that big Mets series. Win as many games as you can against lesser competition. Dude, they had the Reds a couple times. They had the Cubs again. They had the Diamondbacks. They had the Pirates. They had the Nationals 11 more times. They had the Marlins more times. The Phillies schedule the rest of the way through is as easy as it gets. You have the Mets 2 times. You have the Braves 2 times. You have the Astros in the final series. That's it. So winning these games to take momentum into those tougher series is really important, because if you win these 4, you win 5 in a row with that Braves win. Now you carry that into New York and you carry that into the Rangers start.
I'm going to say Noah Syndergaard's going to throw a classic performance tonight. He is going to light it up on the mound.
Yeah,
I think the jolt of momentum that trades give teams
and
what?
I got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, dude, listen, you lose credibility for the wins when you predict it every day, Cole, on the show, okay?
I don't predict every day. I only predict it every time we are asked for a Phillies prediction.
I didn't ask for your prediction.
I know. I just gave.
I asked Dylan for his prediction.
I gave mine.
I didn't ask you for your prediction at all.
I gave mine today.
Lamar Jackson throws more interceptions than touchdowns this year.
I know. I gave mine today.
Look. The jolt that you get from trades or a management change or whatever it may be, the players that get traded to playoff contending teams, they get jolts of energy too. 100%. So I expect fully Noah Syndergaard to go out tonight and pitch 6 innings. Maybe he gives up 10 runs. I don't know what his high in strikeouts is this year, but I know he's not striking out batters like he used to. but I think he averages 1 or more strikeouts per inning tonight. I can see him going 6 innings. I can see him getting 7 strikeouts. And there's no doubt in my mind the Phillies win this game against the Nationals tonight. I actually really think, as I look at the rotation and the matchups this weekend, 3-1 at minimum, I am not going to be surprised if they have another 4-game sweep this weekend. I really think they can win 4 games in a row here.
I was talking about the Phillies. How confident are you that they end up making the playoffs?
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh,
confident.
I've been confident. I'm ready to get my $100 from Jason.
I am not confident that they win a playoff series. I will
Okay.
say that. It depends on who they face in the first round and stuff like that.
More than likely to be the Brewers.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then the Phillies can win a series.
Yeah. They would get the 3 seed, and then they would get the Brewers, and then they would play either the Mets or the Dodgers in the second round if they would win.
So, what was I going to say? Oh, you could get Gene back tonight. Not sure yet. I'm assuming Marsh is starting tonight.
Yes, Marsh should be starting tonight. They said it was – I heard somebody report, whether it was Gelb or one of those guys, that they were thinking it was going to be more like Friday, not Thursday. But there is still a chance they just weren't 100% on it today. But there's from the report I remember reading, it was more than or as close to 100% is likely that by Friday he will definitely be in the lineup. So it's either tonight or tomorrow.
That's another jolt, right? Getting Gene back.
Who the team loves Gene.
Yeah.
Which on that, and real quick, we got to wrap this show up here in a minute or two. Gene Segura, who's the odd man out in that infield? Because we still have 47 middle infielders on this team. It should be DD.
It should be.
But I cannot see them DFAing Didi Gregorius between the money and the fact that this organization, well, at least when Joe Girardi was here, loved Didi Gregorius.
I think we're
probably going to be Munoz, in my opinion, that gets the demotion.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I think
right, but who gets the start though?
It's going to be it's going to be a platoon between Didi and Stott, which it shouldn't be, but it will be a platoon at shortstop, and that's just the way it's going to be. And it's an unfortunate thing because Stott, I think, has just done enough to deserve to get that shot going forward.
I think you'll learn a little bit about Rob Thompson. I think if he has shown you anything, it's that he pushes the right buttons, and if he's learning on the fly and he sees the progress Bryson Stott has been making over the last month and what Didi Gregorius has produced, if he's smart, Bryson Stott will play every 2 of every 3 games, more than that, 3 of every 4 games, 4 of every 5 games, something like that. I'm sure Didi will find his way in the lineup, but it shouldn't be 1 out of every 3. It should be 1 out of every 6, 7.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, we're going to wrap up Trending in the AM right there for this morning. Interesting conversation. Thank you to everybody tuning in and hanging in there as we talked other topics, we'll say, other than the same thing. But we'll be back tomorrow morning. Jason will be back in the co-host chair with me tomorrow. No idea. We'll probably be talking Noah Syndergaard tomorrow. I'm sure something will come out of Eagles training camp today because there's something coming out every day.
I'll be on to talk about Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Trey Lance. You're going to pop in Cole tomorrow just to talk about Lamar Jackson. And how don't forget Trey Lance, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. Those are still my guys, too. It's just nobody fights as much on those.
Yeah. Trey Lance sucks. Cole, we're still learning to like Cole here. I'm not sure if we like Cole or not.
I don't care. I'm right. I don't care.
33 people told you you're wrong.
No.
33 people told you wrong.
6 did.
You're wrong. You're wrong, Cole.
I can tell you what. I can get a lot more people that say Lamar Jackson's better. That Lamar Jackson's about 7-8. You know, you just killed you had a perfect way to end this show, and you decided to turn the music down.
I wanted to hear what you were saying.
You should have ended it.
Yo, we'll be back tomorrow. Go Birds. Ring that bell, guys.